I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up, Mary.
How are you, Jerry?
First time, how are you?
Good pancake breakfast.
So you have the amendment to the recreational vehicle ordinance. What we'll start off with. Yeah.
I didn't know what now again. All right. So this is our recreational vehicle ordinance. We've taken this through the planning commission, through tech committees and revised it. We didn't revise. There isn't a whole lot that's changed in the actual ordinance itself. Except for the end. There were no fines or fees associated at all with this ordinance prior to this. So we have now taken our previous ordinance of our environmental public nuisance ordinance, and we've incorporated that same structure of fines and fees to it, and the whole procedure and process on which we assess those fines and fees to be included in now the recreational vehicle ordinance. We did clean up a few things and make a few things a little bit more clear on it. For instance, like the temporary use and the definitions. We made that a little bit more clear there because we've had an enormous problem with RVs at our lakes. We have people that want to stay in them and live in them all summer. We have people that want to live in them all winter too. Recently, we had someone out at Bass Lake that actually took their RV and hooked up to the sewer system out there.
And was that a problem because you had done that surreptitiously and not weren't?
You are not allowed to hook up to the sewer system with an RV. You're supposed to take it to a third-party site to dump it at like a campground.
And each household was charged for the sewer anyhow, right?
Right,
So they were
Right.
doing this not.
right.
Okay.
Actually, I was at the last sewer district meeting and that was discussed. They talked about the person that's rebuilding their house.
Right,
Yeah.
Yep.
So they disconnected their house and reconnected their RV while the construction going on in their house.
Oh, well, then,
Now, if they come to you ahead of time, would that have been okay or no?
No,
I mean, they're
No.
paying for their house.
no, they're not. The house hasn't been there for years.
Okay.
Yeah. This hasn't
Oh,
been
so
there for
it's
years.
not, okay.
So basically, this property came into question as a code violation a while back. We noticed with our code enforcement officer that a yard barn had been placed out there actually without a permit. You're not allowed to place an accessory building on a piece of property without a home. So it went under investigation through our office about the yard barn. And the options were, you know, you can build a home, you can try and get a variance, all the above, and he chose to go through and get a variance for the barn. He was permitted to keep the barn as long as he applied to get a dwelling permit and start building a home. He has done all the following, he's paid his fine with us, but then somewhere in there, he decided to place a mobile or not a mobile home, a camper on the property and start living out of it. And per our current ordinance, you're only allowed to stay in your camper for 72 hours with a permit through us, and the permit's free. But none of the above have been done. So,
I really don't like it.
Well, can I, the Surgery District said that they're not gonna allow any campers under any circumstance to hook up to the sewers, even if you are constructing a house or anything.
That's between insurgency district and whoever's trying to use their system. I don't really want to get involved in that. Yeah, that just doesn't. Yeah, there's a few sections here. In under recreational data. Well, first off. I mean, you said you made a few things a little more clear, but why do we still need two different definitions of permanent use? You have permanent use used
Right.
in 2-8 and then permanent uses 2-9. I don't
So-
understand why you couldn't formulate one.
I mean, I guess we could, but. We just haven't, one is more, pertaining to permanent as. The people that are living in them and using them as a home. For instance, currently we have one that they are living out of, and they've actually added a room onto it.
Okay.
Onto the camper itself. And it's. They've had intentions to take a pole barn on the property and make it into a dwelling. This has yet to happen. But in that time frame, they added a room onto the camper for a smoking room, they told us. Needless to say, there was no inspections done on it. Or any of the above. And whereas the other permanent use, that's more of when they are hooking up to sewer and that sort of thing. And we do actually allow a semi-permanent use of one in certain situations. If they are building a home, they are allowed to come in and get a permit or a permit with us for a temporary use of one while they're building their home for 1 year. So that's kind of a permanent use of one in a certain type of situation.
That is sort of-
And that's, yeah. I was trying to find that, make sure that was in here.
That's a permit that they're allowed to get for 1 year, and they're not allowed to renew it. Basically, they need to have a living arrangement made or done by them.
Well, if someone come down to visit somebody else, are they allowed to stay in your camper, on, like in their driveway or whatever?
Yeah. They can come
How
in.
long that?
They can get a 72-hour, 30 or 3-day permit, and then they can come in and get another one if they want to.
So you need to come to your office.
Right. And like, for instance, with this, holiday week.
Right.
I gave somebody 3 72-hour permits in a row. There's certain situations that, call for that.
Right,
So, we're not out to be,
that's what I'm saying.
bad guy for the people that are doing it and using them the right way. It's the people that are abusing them and not doing it the right way.
And my cousin just did that. We appreciate that you did that for them. It's a very reasonable policy.
Yeah. I've got a guy out at Bass Lake, he comes in every weekend. His kids come down every single weekend during the summer, stay. And every single weekend, I give him a permit from the
Stay
state.
in the camper.
Yeah,
This line here just turns my stomach. You must get approval from planning commission before using for temporary use with building permit. I don't. That's my understanding of how things should work. That sounds backwards to require someone to get approval rather than.
basically, all that's is that stating that they need to come in when they're building their house. is that they need to get that other permit. And
Well,
we've done that.
I
We've
just
done
spent,
that
I just
several
spent the last month arguing over, you know, how much right a person has to do whatever they want with, on their property, and then I've got this sitting in front of me telling me they have to come get permission to do what they want from us, and that just doesn't sit well with me.
I have a folder upstairs
Yeah,
of people staying in them
and I guess I need to be
without. home.
educated on why that's problematic.
They're not rated for that. They are rated to stay in recreational campground sites. They're not rated to, then you also have a problem of not only that, with them staying in them, but you also have a problem of gray water. What are they doing with that gray water?
Okay. That I can see.
Are they dumping it on their property? Are they taking it and being responsible and going and dumping it where they should be? Or are they going down the road with their line open, just spilling it along the road in the county? You know, I mean, there's a lot of other things too along with it, but they're rated to be recreational use. They are not rated for long-term housing.
But as long as they get the permit and stuff from you, there won't be no fine, you know, if they
No.
stay the weekend or.
Right, yep.
And it hasn't been an issue as far as requesting variances being denied over the last several years. Usually if they come in and ask for one, it
Well,
doesn't take
they
much to
don't
get.
have to get a variance, like if they're building a house,
Right.
they just have to get the temporary housing permit.
Okay.
And that's a $75 permit, and they can get that at the same time that they get their house permit.
Whether they're in a camp or not, they're gonna have to.
Right,
Just
right,
house.
yeah. Mhm. And we've, so far this year, I think we've done like 2 or 3 of them that way. Where they've wanted to live in the camper while they're building the house. And
Have we had any
Nine inch.
instances in the past where someone wanted to create either tie into their existing, their homes, the septic that is fed into from their home, and create like a little mini pad so that they can hook up their own RV and,
Not that I've heard of, but I wouldn't doubt that's not going on.
yeah,
I know what you're saying.
right. Well, it's something I
That-
contemplate doing,
That would
you
be
know,
more
for
of
like
a-
when my uncle comes to visit.
it could be more of a
And
helpful.
You're out in the country.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
Their part, and I keep saying, you know, they pay for that out there, you
Yeah.
don't pay for that,
Right,
or you don't get them to do it.
Right, no,
I would be okay with this, but I would like to see, and I don't care to vote on it, but put these 2 line items together like Mark said, 2.
okay.
So they have two permanent uses. But other than that, I'd be all right with it.
so we'll, I'll entertain a motion to table pending further, revision.
Right, and I'll even make a motion, we could do it after she does it. Or however you want to put it, yeah. So we could prove it tonight as long as she gets that 2 and 3 put together.
Okay,
Put 2 and 3 together,
That'd be my
that
motion.
sounds reasonable.
with the motion and a second, all are in favor?
Which, ordinance was that? The RV. Recreational vehicle.
Mine's 2 and 3.
Do you wanna wait to sign it till she updates
Yeah.
it? And-
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Okay. And then the,
So then next is the VBA letter.
yes, okay.
You got copies of that already?
Yeah. Yeah. This is fine.
So, this is our approval and denial letter. the BZA board, sends out this approval letter or denial, dependent on the situation, after every hearing that they hear. The planning commission had suggested that the wording on some of this be changed. They don't feel that a 6-month time frame is suitable for all situations. They feel like there's some situations where permits should be obtained quickly, more quickly than the 6 months, and that there's some situations where it's 6 months is necessary. And then there's some situations where, 2 months would be plenty of time. So they feel like that the BZA board needs the flexibility to put a specific time frame on a variance on which permits need to be obtained for it, dependent on the type of situation that's before them.
Do they have any sort of written framework as far as which frames they want to apply to which situations?
So, see, that's where it gets tricky, because every situation with the BZA is a different situation. And it needs to be based on the type of situation that they're hearing that night. The time frame that they set for you might not be the same that they set for Don in that same type of situation, because your situation could be completely different from Don's.
Or I don't get along as well with BZA as he does.
Good point.
But,
Hopefully that
for
happens.
instance,
You're right.
I can kind of give you a situation here we got currently. We've got a situation where someone is living in a yard barn, pooping in a bucket.
Mhm.
They came before the BZA. They've got a laundry list of permits that they need that have not been obtained. He went before the BZA to get approval to keep his yard barns there and see what they say. They denied his variance with the stipulations that if he did A, B, C, D, that they would allow him to keep them.
Okay.
Okay, he got 6 months to do it. His 6 months time frame was up on June 12th. Okay. Had not done A, B, C, D, and E and F. They need more flexibility in that time frame to say, hey, by February, because he started this back in January. By February, you need to contact the health department and get a soil test done. By March, you need to be at this point. By, April, you need to be at here with getting these permits done. They're not expecting him to get all of it done in one day. However, he's waited now all this time before he started. And he finally went out and got a soil test and it came back bad. Came back that he needs a mound. So now he's back before the BZA asking them if they'd extend it now. Whereas if he would have started this a lot sooner, it could have, been avoided essentially. If he'd got a perk test done back in February, we could have maybe, been a little bit further along in this process. And then there's other situations, for instance, where people have gotten a letter from me for failure to obtain a permit. And they've already placed, let's say, a semi-container, Connex storage unit on the property. They don't have a house on it. They have to go through the BZA, get permission to keep that there. So they go through the BZA approves them to keep it there. It's already on the property. But they have 6 months to come in and get that permit. Whereas it's already there, they should come in within a couple weeks to come get that permit.
Well, Donnie, what do you think? You wanna approve this or?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that a motion to approve the proposed form letters and amendment to comprehensive time frame?
Yep.
With a motion and a second, all are in favor?
Signature page. I don't know, oh, did she make one?
Yeah. And then readopting the Indiana unsafe building law. This one actually seems pretty straightforward.
So I would kind of like Justin to be here. He's gonna be gone. He could explain this a lot better than I can. But from what I've gathered from him, the Indiana unsafe building laws change year to year. Sometimes their fines can change. Sometimes their procedure changes. What he has advised the planning commission is that basically this is something that we need to kind of go over each year and see if we need to readopt it. And if there hasn't been a whole lot of changes made, so be it. If there's been some significant changes made, then we need to readopt it, basically, so that we are up to date with what's current.
So was there any big change you did on this?
I didn't do any of
Yeah,
this. This is from Johnson.
yeah, but what changes there are actually in the IC code.
Yeah, they'll be through the IC.
Go.
Motion and a second, are all in favor?
Aye.
I appreciate your guys taking the time to hear me.
Thanks for coming in. Mr. Oliver.
Thanks. Small point, but I went to medical school for a long time to become Dr. Oliver, so.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's a
didn't even,
small point.
no, I apologize.
Other people complain about their pronouns, so I'm gonna do that one.
Hey, I understand completely.
I apologize if this is the wrong venue to have this discussion. I called trying to do some research about sites for the second pump for Bass Lake
Okay,
and was told that speaking to the commissioners was the best way to resolve it. I currently have an easement agreement with Mammoth to put the pump on my property, 20 feet of my property on Bass Lake. And test wells have revealed that the aquifer is not as prolific as the aquifer where the present pump is.
okay,
And the aquifers on the north end of the lake are better producers of water. So their engineers are in the process of seeing a pump design and the 780,000 gallons a day that they can put in would be enough to help keep the lake level up or not. And if it's not, we're gonna abandon the site. As a community member and a homeowner in the Bass Lake, we're looking at alternative sites to see if that's possible. It looks like this site's gonna be fine. We're gonna go through, we're gonna find a way to work through these issues. But we like to have a plan B if we can.
okay,
So that's how county land came up. The other thing is some of the members of the homeowners association don't like that it's on somebody's private property. And so I wanted to make sure that we thought about and looked into alternative sites before we came to a head, because this whole process taking a long time. We gotta be ready for something else if this doesn't work out. And it's probably 6 months away from being determined whether or not it's gonna be worked out. I realize the fire lanes around the lake, but the 550 feet is the state beach.
I think I'm not positive.
So 20 feet of that could potentially be used if the county would even consider it. And that's what I'm here for, to see if the county would be consider being involved in this, in my site.
from that,
The where is the beach?
It would be entirely up to you guys. It's your, as far away from the present pump as possible, probably fast.
So. This was. This replace.
I have to put these sunglasses on, sorry, I can't blind as a bad without them.
I'm trying
So my property is right next door to the public launch. On the lake.
to, okay.
Have you? Waterway on the other side.
And the test well that was drilled, Davis determined it can put out 780,000 gallons a day. The current pump can put up to 1.2 million a day.
So he's already drilled the one on your property?
And it's gone. It was a test well.
Oh, okay.
What we're gonna do now is put a well in with a pump and run a pump. We're also gonna test neighbors' wells to make sure it's not gonna affect their wells in any way. And run it for a while, see how that goes, and then make a determination about, and use different pump speeds and different pump horsepower and everything to determine what can and can't be done.
What area are we looking at?
County land or my land?
For kind of, for potential, well, both. Let's start with your spot. Where are you at? On the lake,
So.
That
I'm by
number
that number
23, right above that.
right up in here,
Yeah,
Go straight down,
right here.
down to the 23 below,
is that us there?
a little far, right there,
Yeah,
should
there
be
you
just about right here.
Yep. So he owns that little strip of land in the middle there. My farm is below it. And if you look across that 180 feet was my lake frontage there.
Okay. So right in here.
I can see your cursor.
Let's see if I can get closer.
Yeah, up. Yep, so see the parking lot there for the public access?
Yeah.
To the, right there. 20 feet to the south is what they have the lease for. So that white line, 20 feet above that thick white line, you had it.
Come on,
Up,
this here.
yep, so 20 feet from the bottom. There,
This is nothing. You can't select anything in this little spot.
I haven't seen that computer in a long time.
So if we,
Okay. So it could be, okay, right here, this little line right here,
yeah,
right in here, okay. So that's where you're trying to put it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work there,
campground,
campground.
campground on the other side, right by the,
it'll be on the water side.
Yeah, okay.
So a third alternative we have would be go across the street onto my farmland out towards 35. But the cost of maintaining pipe
Yeah,
is
Is
exorbitant.
so if we give you a portion of that beach, what are you expecting out of town? Just for the use of the
20
ground?
feet. 20 feet. I'm not supposed to disclose the financial, but I can tell you that Mammoth, I thought gave me a fair deal. They pay 30 years in advance, 30-year lease in advance. And they're also going to give the homeowners association up to $15,000 a year for
okay,
maintenance
so that's, all right.
to maintain it.
So if we use a portion of the county would get a little bit
Of money.
from it, right? And I'm not asking for no total or nothing like
Well,
that.
I would recommend negotiating high because I said a number, they just said yes right away.
Right.
Okay,
By the time, yeah. well, you-
but that'll be if your
Side
site doesn't work, okay.
So my question is, will the county consider like something, like that? Can the county do business with a private entity like that? It's been very easy for us to work with each other.
No,
That's
yeah, we'd have to ask
questions we would have to pose to council, who's not here today.
Well, that's the
We'd
question.
be interested in talking
Yeah,
and getting back or ready to get back with you.
As I would like to keep it where it is because it's worked out well for me financially, but as a member of the lake community, I want more water in that lake. That's my primary goal.
I'd like to do a lot of fishing.
it's
Yeah,
been,
would be after we talk to our lawyer.
Okay, that's what I had. And so I was sitting here, my phone's blowing up with a bunch of people that had all kinds of different ideas about what I was here to ask. I want to make it clear what I'm here. to
All
ask.
right.
yeah,
And I would say if anything worked out, it'd be far into the beach. We don't want to take you on the beach area.
Right. Yeah, so one of the borders of the beach.
My opinion.
that'll be a discussion to have if
Right. After.
his site is not sufficient.
Yep. So
So
mainly you just wanna make sure there is another site
available,
available.
potentially available.
Right.
It sounds like the commissioners would consider it, the council said it was
I
allowed.
would think,
Yeah,
I would.
yeah, there should be a way to make a deal.
Can't speak for Charlie, but
Okay, then my third motive is to be able to go to the property owners to say. It should be on private land. If you come back and say we can't, then I want to be able to say we were exhausting all options. We're trying to look into everything.
right.
You know, we're looking into the neighbors' wells, we're looking into somebody. Well, you guys.
And I believe that in that lane right there west of the beach in that fire lane also.
Yeah,
So yeah, we could even go in front of it or something.
Somebody brought up that they thought if they put the pump there, that it would blow sand into the channel and close the channel so nobody could get into the lake.
You know,
We're
I mean,
about
that would need to be evaluated.
It has to.
If we get to
And
that.
so somebody brought it up, and we're trying to answer everybody's questions. Somebody brought it up. And the engineers designed a rock system that's gonna diffuse it, and they calculate that the backwash from that is gonna be less than the backwash from somebody's seawall, the way it comes with it. We're just trying to clear up.
DNR, all that's gotta be approved by them, so.
So, that is farmland and you can put a pump in, but you have to get permission to pump it in the lake.
Right.
Yeah, and the DNR's been engaged and they're up to it so far.
Yeah.
But, I've done business with the DNR before and that same property, and that was a 19-month project also.
What is, there's an existing pump there. Is that on a privately held piece of ground?
It was private ground, but it was bought by the Property Owners Association when they put that pump in.
Okay.
Property Owners Association ran it for 20 years, and then when the Conservancy District went in. The discussions when I was there were that we've got 600 people that support the pump through donations. And 1,200 people in the Conservancy District if they pay taxes.
So
So
there's,
that's why.
there's at least a precedent for if you start off on privately held ground for it to be maintained in perpetuity.
Yes,
Okay.
so the lease is 30 years, the 10-year extension. And then offered to buy it after that 40 years. And that's my kids and your kids' problem.
Right.
I might still be here in 40 years.
I don't know.
I might be living at the Indiana Veterans Home, but. You're right.
So I appreciate your.
Yeah.
Taking some consideration. Thank you for your help. Did you know that was going?
What's that?
Did you know that was going there?
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, well, EMS. Hello? Right from there.
I'd like to visit each one of these individually.
Sorry.
This is the report that I previously had given on the other ones when we were so busy the other night. With some modifications. The first one is the newest. 3308, it's the one in North Judson. It has some rear bumper damage, which was repaired. It was serviced at lot money for it last week. After it was found to be 17,000 miles overdue for service. Which that's probably pushed it a little bit over a year since it's been serviced last.
Is it? Is it, and there was evidence when they serviced it that that was accurate, or is it that we just didn't have any records of it being serviced for that period of time?
That's what the sticker on the window said, and that's the last place it was serviced was at lot money.
Okay,
It's found to need shocks all the way around, which they're working on an estimate, shocks and struts. Axle bearings. And brakes, the brakes, every inch of the brakes are pretty much shot. And that's $2,963.70, that's what they're asking. 4230 Knox base. That's 2019, when it was serviced last week. It had 78,000 miles on it, it was 11,000 miles overdue. And right now, it's no issues, no repairs needed. 514 has 196,000 miles on it. It was sent to pit stop earlier this year for air conditioning to get fixed. It got fixed right as soon as it left there. It went into a low power mode. With the low power mode, it was found to be an emissions issue. Originally, it needed a particulate filter assembly and a fluid injector for the DEF system. The problem with that is it was $3,400, basically $3,344.66. Part is on national backorder with no release date. They also recommend replacing the simulators to repair the lug nuts. There's one missing lug nut, which that part is not available at this point in time. The parts were taken off of the next ambulance to repair this one and put it back on the road because they weren't available. And this next one, 85, has also 194,000 miles on it. It's currently out of service. It was sent for evaluation for the rear end issues. Back in March of this year, a rear end was replaced with a reconditioned unit, $5,000. Now they're saying it needs a transmission, which is another $5,010. It had the same diagnosis this time as it had the first time. With the exception of they replaced the rear. They also recommend to replace all 4 rear dual tires. The parts were reallocated from this one to 514 and put it back in service because they weren't available. The particulate filter assembly. Now, when we repair this one, is going to need that particulate filter. Parts still on national back order. The combined estimate of those two is $8,354.66. I'll stop there for just a second. The issue we were talking about earlier with the particulate filter. I talked to a different shop and he told me to go to check into it. I am now having these particulate filters taken out, send down the weirs and cleaned for $160. So instead of the $3,400, you're going to go down and clean them better than they were before. And we save
And how often will these need cleaned?
With the shop I was talking to earlier, Sideline, said we should put this on a rotation, yearly rotation. They made it 196,000 miles. But for it was $160-200 a filter, they take it out, 1 hour labor, take it out, put it back in. They take it down the weirs, they foot the bill, they bring it back to us for $300 for a yearly service to keep it from blowing up. And I mean, it's a great combination.
On that, while we're on that, when you said, change the rear end, and now they're checking it, same issue.
Same
So
issue now.
really want the rear end,
That's what they said.
the same person did it,
Same person did it.
so you might have that checked somewhere else.
That was the next portion.
Okay.
I'm sending that over to, moving it from pit stop to Sideline
Okay.
for a second opinion.
Yeah, at least a second opinion.
If nothing else, a second opinion.
Yep.
That's another one of those. Medic 5 is 84. Current mileage is 116,000. Service is required for that one, but it's only 1,000 miles. Which that one's a good one. The the Explorer. It's running great.
Really?
No problem. It might need a transmission somewhere in the next 80,000 miles, but it's fine till it needs it. Back to 85. Pit stop said that it should be replaced because of rust that's in there. I would like to send it out, get it reevaluated. Asking for money right this second. What I would like is stuff to fix. $2,900 to fix the brakes, which I still do believe I have that left in my
And that's
budget.
how much,
That would be 3308. That's a 2963.76 plus the shock and strut estimate, which I haven't received yet. I do know the shocks are roughly right around $1,200 for the 4 shocks. And then put it in, they said it'd probably about 1 hour to 2 hours labor per side.
do we want to do, just the one we got down, you want to do the brakes?
Yeah, no, this is the good one.
No,
This is the good one.
This is the, this is.
Okay, got it,
Great job on the first one.
okay.
He's gonna send this one For a second opinion. And then. 514 is gonna get,
Put back together, it just,
514 is the one that has the filter issue, right?
yes, and that one's gonna go out, get the filter replaced, it should fix most of the issues, but it still has a lot of miles.
Okay,
Now, with that said, I would like to put the transfer unit back up. I have hospitals calling for transfers all the time. With the mileage that we have on these transfers, these two other units. And their recommendation of putting 85 out of service, which if we do, we do, we don't, we don't. We can actually use that as parts for the other. Because it's within the same generation. I've done some research on used ambulances. And new ambulances. New ambulances will take a lead time. If we were to order it today, we probably would get it mid 2016.
2026.
Yeah, 2026. I'm looking for that. 2026. All used ambulances currently. I've got a list sold. They got 150, 200,000 miles on to start off with for $45,000 to $50,000. I would like you to consider the purchase of. On the back page of this one, I have found a fire department ambulance. Has 46,000 miles on it. It's been garage kept. One owner. The price was $84,000 this morning. I got him down to 80,000. It's in Pennsylvania. See where to go from there.
So right now, there's only 5 rigs in our fleet total.
Correct. We donated the one to Knox,
Okay, yeah.
the second one.
Hopefully that was the right one.
That was prior.
No, if we get this other one up,
This one, I could have it.
No, this,
Oh,
the one that you got going down, yeah.
yeah, 8.5.
it depends on what the second. Evaluation shows. If it's a transmission, we're probably talking about a month. To get everything done. With their transmission, it was a 1-year warranty. For $5,010. But to do the transfers at 194,000 miles, I'm not sure
Yeah,
how reliable it's gonna be if we send them to Indy.
All right.
yeah, I mean,
Well, we even got enough staff to do transfers. again?
Actually, right now, I have hired 4 paramedics. 2 EMTs, and I've got 2 more waiting to come in for drug testing.
Try fixing this one before we go in
Yeah,
and
fine.
purchasing.
yeah, get more information on that second opinion on 8.5. Before we talk about obligating ourselves for it.
So, yeah,
Another rig,
All right,
and maybe that would give the state some time to create new grant under, because they are looking for
a bunch of-
new and creative ways to give
all right.
away, give out their half of the opioid settlement.
that, and the one that what I talked about before, where the state is gonna give rural grants.
That'd be awesome.
It's SB 169, state law 169. It's gonna be delegated through the EMS commission. So. The people that make the decision. 3 of them were working here.
Was our bill passed, SB? Yeah.
It's right now, it's in the final stages, I do believe. I
Which, I mean,
can't guarantee that's correct, but it's just what I've read
let
online.
me get on my little bill tracker here, because I don't remember that particular Senate bill. 169.
Yeah,
Rachel, we'll take that break.
Either CEDA or QMCAP. If you do have QMCAP, you don't need the council approval. If you do have CEDA, you will need the council approval.
Yeah.
Because there's not like a appropriated line right now in
That's
CEDA.
one we don't need it.
But are we still gonna entertain getting vehicles for the sheriff's department this year?
Yeah, we got that break.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean out of the other fund?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be mindful of what, we've been nibbling away at Cume Cap all year.
We can use it, I'm sure the council ain't gonna reject it or whatever.
And, well, I'm not, I have no opposition to do the breaks
Right.
out of Cume Cap. I'm trying,
Yeah.
more for my own benefit, trying to
Right,
keep
right.
in front of my mind that,
Yeah. I
We're-
think we
we're-
need to
we're
move forward in that too.
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
This is. Actions. And author, first reading. I don't see it. Okay, this is something I'll look into later for this. Senate Bill 169, but. Yeah, that's.
I'll make a motion. We can. In the morning, we fix them breaks. And if you want to do it other than King Cap, I don't care.
No, that's, yeah, I'll second the motion to. Pay the. Brake repair for 3308 out of Cume Cap.
How much
Now you
was
don't have to wait for another meeting.
how much was that total?
2963.76.
With a motion and second, all are in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Jim, you can have tomorrow off if you have all the shifts covered.
Tomorrow's the only one I don't have covered.
Oh, are you serious?
Of course, I mean, thank you.
Let's see if you can find a year on how old that computer is.
Okay. Well then. Is there a motion to approve the claims in the amount of $873,121.94? The motion is second, all are in favor?
The reason the claims are so much this time, just for your, is because we're paying the jail bond payment.
Yeah. Very motion to approve payroll amount of $285,652.27. The motion and second, all are in favor? Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the Monday, June 19th meeting? Motion and second, all are in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Lori.
And you're just presenting the used one, not the new one, right?
Right.
Okay.
So the printer in my office. Says it shares with me.
A great big one in
The
the
great big
middle.
one,
Yeah.
great big transfer one, yeah. It was used when they got it, it came over here from circuit court in about 2007.
Yeah.
And I have the bills from the last 2 years on what she's been paying.
This is the service contract on
Yeah, so this past year she paid, let's say 2,000 or 5,000.
it, $25.90.
Yeah, that one was what she paid in 21, so in 22, yeah,
Paid.
she paid the 5,000.
Wow, why the increase?
Well,
What's that?
their cost per copy went up to 52 cents and almost 43 cents
Okay, yeah,
per copy.
yeah, okay,
And so I spoke with the auditor about her printer and she got me in touch with Kemp's, which is what you have now.
yeah,
So this quote to actually purchase it, because this one isn't even purchased, that they've had for over 20 years.
right.
Lease
No,
or
it's
whatever.
it's on a service contract, yeah.
Right, so to purchase this one is this amount.
4,500?
And then for like the monthly service fee for all the copies, all the print, all the ink maintenance, everything on it is at the bottom there. So this would pay for itself and almost the first year basically.
Assuming you don't go over 46,000 pages between the two offices.
Correct. And if we
And-
did. And if we did,
Yeah.
the amount for the extra copy is down here at the bottom, and it's like 1 cent a copy.
Okay, yeah,
So it'd still be way cheaper.
And then maintenance for you and everything.
Mhm. It'd be the same as the others. The one that they have. When did you get it?
I got mine in 2019. I purchased it used from Kemp's for $4,000 and I pay $87 a month. And that pays for all my copies. If it runs out of ink, if it breaks down, it's all covered.
They just show up or you call them or whatever.
Actually, they just show up. It's like connected to their system.
Oh, okay.
So it's really weird. They'll just show
Right.
up.
The clerk's office has two from Kent's too, the exact same way. Our service charge isn't as much though, but ours is a little older.
I got all that HR paperwork that I print out.
so, yeah, this seems like a good deal. Where are we paying it out of? That's the question.
That's what I'm just gonna say. You were, if we still do one, you know, out there, but whatever, I don't care where we pay it out. We just need to keep them.
Because I assume this is, well, I mean, since it's served by both two departments, it's not, you know, we gotta. Wouldn't be fair to just charge her.
Right.
So,
I
guess
guess we'll take them to get-
yeah, here we go again with more Cume Cap.
And you still got room in there for two?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying. I mean, really, pretty soon.
Doesn't take them long.
That's what you said.
What are, yeah, what are, how are we looking on Cume Cap?
I never brought the,
Just a
Have we,
I think you've spent about $100,000.
Yep.
Maybe a little under that. So you have about 150 to spend.
okay, just as long as I was getting worried how close we were getting to only having
Mhm.
100 grand
It
left.
took
in it.
Laura quite a while to get her paper.
I should have figured last year, how long it took her to figure out if she was gonna have a surplus in her budget, to buy new computer equipment.
Right?
All right, yeah, I'll make a motion wait, I'll entertain the motion to purchase the color printer, copier, scanner, fax for use in the treasurer and assessor's office for $4,500 and the associated proposed service contract.
I'll second.
Motion and second, are all in favor? Hey,
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, email them. Oh. Yep.
Travel policy amendments.
That's good. Good.
Yeah,
I don't know, instead of having a workshop, I thought. That's management.
Yeah.
Rachel, pass out the council, let them change what they want. Or we can have a workshop, whatever. I just think it's hard to get everybody. That's all.
right.
We're just-
Yeah, that's probably good.
Yeah.
Good idea, yeah, send it out to everybody, have them make notes. Let Rachel collect the notes and present it to us for final evaluation decision.
I just think that would be things that change.
Okay.
Not a lot, but it's been a while. So if you do that, the next two meetings. Great.
Does anyone have any other business to come before us this evening? Yes,
Oh, geez.
Your county clerk, we had to keep it a little secretive because of travel. I went with our Secretary of State last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I was in Guatemala overseeing their national elections. We have a press release I'll have you watch, and then you can ask me questions from there.
Okay.
I'm so excited to bring a bipartisan delegation to be international election observers here in Guatemala. We are here to observe, learn, and have a little fun. Take a look.
Woke up in Muncie at 3 a.m. and I'm in Guatemala City, so it's just like, it's like, where am I mind from?
It's beautiful country, very beautiful. It's been an experience of a lifetime.
It has been fantastic. It is they're very kind people, very welcoming people, beautiful country.
My first trip to Guatemala, it has been so exciting. I know that the Secretary of State invited us here to learn, and that is what we've done from the moment that we landed. Talking with election officials, a myriad of election officials, all kinds of different kinds, from all different levels, and asking very practical, process-oriented questions. What an amazing experience. It's learned a lot, seen a lot. My biggest surprise has been the paper ballot. I know that there have been people in the United States talking about going back to paper ballots, and I felt it was really important for me to come after I was invited from the Secretary of State. Invited to see what that actually means. Because in Indiana, you all know that we use machines and everything is technology based. So, going back to paper ballots, and how that private ballot, were coordinated with what transparent bag you put them in, watching all the people at the polls. Everyone is so kind and patient with each other, watching the elderly and the handicapped get to the front of the line. It's just something that you don't see every day.
Elections can be done in a lot of different ways, and different doesn't necessarily mean bad, but there's lots of different ways to do things. And so far, what I've seen here, I've been very pleased that there's been no problems. It's been a very pleasant atmosphere at this polling location and several others. So there's lots of ways to do things, and different isn't necessarily wrong. It can all be done in different ways.
It was just part of what you do there. No one is opposed to it. Everyone is in support of it. Everyone cooperates very well. And of course, you know that Indiana's voter ID laws are quite strong as well.
At this point, I think we've been at 9 different polling locations. We stopped for a meeting with a group, several different groups that monitor elections in Guatemala. So we've been going, we started off at 7 o'clock this morning, local time. We've been going strong.
Never stay the same, always continue to grow, because there's always new ways to learn, even outside of the states. We get pretty conceited thinking that the United States is the best country in the world, which I'm not saying we aren't, because we are. But sometimes we get a little too conceited, and we can learn from other countries. It's always an amazing experience to learn something new. I think it's really important to continue learning, be a lifelong learner, and take advantage of any opportunity that you have, particularly in process of having to do with elections. Definitely, if you are offered, take the experience. You learn so much just by being immersed in another culture and seeing the way other people do things. And you're always bound to pick up some quick tidbits from someone else. Thank you. Just thank you for allowing me to have this experience. Thank you for this experience. It truly is a wonderful opportunity.
This has been great. I think this is a great opportunity to have a discussion about different ways in which democracy can be done, and have those conversations. I mean, these are all good conversations, good things that transmission of knowledge and, discussion in Guatemala and in the United States back in Indiana. So I think this will be good. So I really appreciate you putting this together. It's been fantastic. It's once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm extremely grateful, for the opportunity.
To Secretary Diego Morales, thank you. Thank you for thinking differently. Thank you for thinking outside the box. Thank you for a new perspective in election administration. And I'm just so honored to have been a part of this trip to Guatemala.
There was 10 of us that went total, it was the Secretary of State, 9 of us that went total, sorry. The Secretary of State, 3 county clerks that the Secretary of State picked himself. And 2 people from BSTOP and 3 of Secretary of State's office members.
For those of us who don't know, VSTOP is,
BSTOP works at Ball State University with the Secretary of State's office. They are the ones that certify our election equipment for them to be able to be used in the state of Indiana. Anything from the e-poll books to the voting machines to the paper we use. The whole setup has to be verified and certified by BSTOP. Voters, I don't know.
okay,
I knew it at one time, but I've forgotten
one of those abbreviations.
Yes.
It gets used
the
so much, we
acronyms
forgot.
that we are also known for
Oh, yes.
in the election world.
It's everywhere.
It was a great trip. I learned a lot. I go Monday to Ball State to the SEATS program, which is put on by VSTOP, which is an election program. I talk with them and then we have to go to Secretary of State's office to debrief and go through the ideas that we brought home with us as well. But I just wanted you guys to know that I fight for Indiana elections all the time. Not just during election time. Yes, sir.
So that polling place that you're at, what geographical area did that cover? How far do people have to travel to come and vote right there?
5 miles. And each vote center is put together. They could have 5 tables or they could have 50 tables. All tables are manned by 5 people, and those 5 people vote no more than 400 people per table. So once that area grows, then they break it up to another table. So I tried to figure it out and I did the math to do elections the way they do in Guatemala in Stark County. One, I would need 500 and what did I say, Don? 562
Yeah, something like that.
people to work. Right now, I need less than 100 people to work our elections, and every time it comes to it, I'm begging and pleading people to work our elections. So going from 500 or 100 that we're less than 100 that we're using right now to over 500, I don't think it's even in the works for us here in Stark. But
Can I ask you a question?
yes,
Did you learn anything down there that you would like to see Indiana apply? here?
yes,
What?
I can't say what it is until after I talk with our Secretary of State. Sorry. But well, I can this one. This one is pretty simple. They still use paper poll books. Everything they do in Guatemala is still paper. Their paper poll books has a picture of the voter beside their name. We use electronic poll books. Most of our information is brought in from the BMV. I would like to see a picture of our voter next to their signature line on our e-poll books. I don't think that's too much to ask since we share information with the BMV all the time anyway. And we had a problem in 2020 with a father voting on his son's credentials. And if we had the picture there, then the person checking in that voter would have been able to see, this looks like your dad, or this looks like your son, not you. And that whole situation would have been alleviated.
What about a person who does not have a driver's license?
If you have a state ID, you still would have your picture still on your state ID. or passport.
Does everybody have a state ID or a passport?
Not everybody, but I'm sure we
So you
can,
eliminate people voting then?
no,
No, it's,
No.
it just might be photo not
I would-
available on the line. I mean,
we use e-poll books when they come and sit down. If they've never had their photo taken before, maybe we can take their photo then and incorporate it into the voter registration system. There's always ways. I would never say no, just because you don't have a photo, you can't vote. Absolutely not. I want more people to vote. I don't want to make it harder for people to vote.
You can have tomorrow off, Bernadette.
Well, thank you.
It seems like you just got back from vacation.
Who is this lady here?
yeah, I was kind of wondering where she got the authority to give everybody the day off tomorrow.
Mr. Commissioner, if you have any questions about my truck,
Just when they count them, I mean, being paper, do they manually count each one? Or
yes, each table actually votes their own ballot. And in Guatemala, they have 27 different parties in this election.
Wow. That's about-
I get aggravated
Probably the
with
same,
two sometimes. I can't imagine
Yeah, that would-
more than 27. So, but each table counts their own ballots. The way they send it to the central count location, which happens to be in their capital, which is Guatemala City. Their transmission isn't protected. So they were talking to us about how to protect it in better ways to do that, as well as machines. They are very interested in our machines, and I don't care. I worked elections before I even became clerk. Our machines are not connected to the internet. They don't have the capabilities of hooking up to the internet. That's the biggest thing right there. You got to have capabilities inside the machine to do it. When it's not there, it's not there. Yes, sir.
Did you get numbers for the kind of voter turnout when you were down there?
What percentage of
Yeah.
turnout did they have? 66%.
Pretty good.
But they only vote one time every 4 years, and that's it.
Oh,
A lot of people here. vote.
That's they contribute their turnout to only doing it one time every 4 years, and that's it.
So VSTOP stands for the Voting System Technical Oversight Program.
That's
Okay, I
it.
can guarantee, none of us are gonna remember that by the time we get to the.
My screen's gone to sleep 4 times and I've had to wake it back up because I couldn't remember it in 2 minutes.
Yes, that's what it is. So, but counting the ballots, they have to show the whole table, and if the parties have constituents watching, they have to show the ballots, and all 5 people at the table have, their tallies have to match before they can send their totals off to the central count. So it's different. They only vote 11 days or 11 hours over our 12, and it's only election day. Not 28 days plus election day plus satellites, and they don't do any absentee, no by mail. Handicaps come to the table. They sign in, and before they even get to the table, they bypass everybody in line and go straight to the front of the line. Nobody complains. Nobody says, hey, you're cutting. They're more than happy to let the elderly and the handicap go in front of them, which I wish we had more than that here.
Is there anyone else with anything to bring before us this evening?